Hello, everybody. I have got Sam with me today, and we're going to be talking about citizen-led innovation. But before we get into the questions that I have for you, Sam, can you give everybody an introduction?
Yeah, thanks. I'm excited to join you and talk about citizen innovation today. So, for myself, I'm currently the Vice President of Business Automation at GM Financial, where we are responsible for automating processes across the global business. I've been in the automation space for about the last 7 years or so, doing a wide variety of things from being a developer to running a program and everything in between. So, really excited to talk about some of our experience, some of the things we're doing here with everybody today.
Wonderful. Thank you for joining me. So the first question that I have is going to kind of set the stage of the discussion, but can you share your definition of citizen-led innovation and also maybe get into how that is different than the idea of citizen development?
Yeah, that's a great question. So just to address the citizen developer component, that's actually a subset of citizen innovation. So think of citizen innovation as kind of the overarching umbrella, so to speak. And really the objective with citizen innovation is to equip and empower employees right where they're at to be innovative. So this could take on a lot of different meanings and look a lot of different ways. So for example, it might be citizen development. Maybe you equip a business knowledge worker how to build RPA bots or do some other things, but it's not just limited to that. There are other things. Maybe there are other technology tools. Maybe it's automation that's inherent to a certain application or system. Maybe we can upskill somebody on that. But it's also not just technology either. It's also things such as knowledge and critical thinking. So could we equip our folks with maybe some Lean Six Sigma training to be able to improve processes right where they're at? Could we teach them to analyze data and make data-based decisions for their business? So citizen innovation really is anything and everything that's going to help people be more innovative right where they're at.
And when you brought this idea up when we started talking, this was like right up my alley because I talk a lot about like what does upskilling look like and how do we help people be effective in the new normal when we start bringing in automation. From your perspective, you mentioned this idea of like Six Sigma training or, identifying ways to improve processes where they're at. Can you share a little bit on your thoughts of citizen-led innovation helping fill those skill gaps that are starting to develop?
Yeah, absolutely. So first, I'm going to address it from the or from the topic of innovation as a whole. So why do you need citizen-led innovation? I think is the question that needs to be answered. And really why we need citizen-led innovation is because what it does is it pushes the decision level, it pushes the innovation down and makes it more of a grassroots thing in your organization rather than a top-down centralized decision making. So think about innovation today. We have a lot of technology teams. There are a lot of specialized trained folks that do process improvement and things like that that innovate for others, right? So obviously that's going to unlock some sort of innovation. You're going to see business value there. However, it's going to be limited. So really by democratizing that to the citizens themselves, you're going to be able to see more business value there. Now, to answer the question around upskilling and how that's kind of bridging the divide, when you think about, especially around automation and RPA and some of the tasks that are being automated, it's really a lot of administrative, clerical type activities. And when you think about citizen innovation, I mean, those things that I talked about, building RPA bots, maybe using automation tool within an application, critical thinking, problem solving, those are very different skills than some administrative and clerical activities, right? So I think the big pitch of when we automate some of these things is saying that, well, we can deploy people to do more value-added activities. Well, we have to come to the realization that those value-added activities that we want them to do are radically different than the idea or the activities that they're doing today. So really the citizen innovation concept, what it's doing is it's bringing your knowledge worker along for the ride with you, along for the transformation, and helping bridge that gap between where they are today and where your operation needs to be in the future.
Thank you. So, and that is something that I've talked about a number of times of like, how do you help to get people trained up and ready to go for this different job? Because it's hopefully intelligent automation isn't going to massively remove a lot of jobs, but it is going to change what those jobs look like and what we do on a daily basis. Can you share some approaches of kind of supporting these reskilling efforts and maybe how you can begin to support your team in this like new environment of kind of thinking differently about processes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I will say the biggest thing that is going to make this be successful, citizen innovation concept, is the culture, because it can be antithetical to a lot of cultures that are out there today. So think about, again, I said innovation is being delivered by centralized teams. Maybe there's a lot of top-down decision thinking. Maybe people are really used to, they can spot an idea, but then they just throw it over the fence to somebody else and let them figure out the logistical mess of how to implement that and how to solve for that. So really, to overcome that, you're going to have a culture shift. And what you're going to have to do first is you're going to have to implement responsibility within everyone in your organization. That if you see something, say something, raise your hand, that you own it until it's resolved. And then once you start driving that responsibility, you start seeing the fruits of that. So obviously, with that being said, this can't be a top-down approach. It can't be that, business leaders are saying forcing people to be more innovative. It really has to be from the grassroots level. So what I would recommend is that people start with some teams and maybe pick out some different skill sets, abilities, maybe technology toolings that are important that maybe you already have access to that you could democratize to some knowledge workers, and work on training them and bringing up a small group up to speed on what you're trying to do, and then see what the results are. And what I found a lot with the citizen innovation concept, it's like a snowball rolling down the hill, that people might be a little leery of it or may not want to make the extra time commitment to actually do this. But once a group starts getting plugged in and doing some of this, it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. It gets bigger, it gets faster, picks up momentum, and suddenly other groups start to onboard. So again, just to summarize, culture, have to instill a culture of responsibility and ownership. And then number two, start small, see value, and then go from there.
That snowball analogy is something that anytime I hear it in any scenario, I get that immediate image of that snowball growing. And I think that that's a really great way of kind of conceptualizing that idea that we hear so frequently of start small, move fast, and think big. You want to get to that big snowball, but how do you do it? You start small and you let it roll. I appreciate you joining me, Sam, and kind of introducing this topic of citizen-led innovation to me, because again, I've heard the idea of citizen developers many times and these ideas of change management and stuff, but I think this is a really wonderful way to roll all of those ideas into one practice, and a great way of thinking about how to approach transformation within an organization. I want to encourage everybody that isn't connected with Sam to make your way over to his LinkedIn, connect with him there. You'll get access to many more of his ideas. But thank you everybody for joining us, and please let Sam or I know if you've got any follow-up questions, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
If you're looking for expert tips on how to get started with your transformation or looking to hone in on your approach, make sure that you subscribe to our channel to catch our weekly Digital Transformation Talk series, where we interview experts from around the world on how to make it happen.